This is John Beethan with AlternativeHealthTools.com podcast, and this is episode number 36, titled Sexual Energy, Free It to Fill Your Life with Joy, subtitled Unlocking the Owner's Manual of the Body for Better Sex and Deeper Relationships. This was recorded with the delightful Celine Remy, in which we'll be doing a follow-up Blab approximately a week or two after the release of this particular episode. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can email us at feedback@AlternativeHealthTools.com.
How far can you go with the sexuality? How much can you expand? And that would be the next defining moment that I am on this path of exploring. And I want everyone to get a chance to experience this level of intimacy that I have, this level of connection, because I know it's possible. So that would be the second.
Because you're experiencing it yourself.
Because I am, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. And so what he's been teaching me is that we grow faster from pleasure than we do from pain.
Exactly.
And that's really what I do when I work with my client. I focus on pleasure. And pleasure is not solely in the body, but pleasure on all levels, in the heart, in the head, and how does it feel.
Hey, welcome back. This is John Beethan, and this is AlternativeHealthTools.com podcast. And today we have Celine Remy, and she's on the other side of the table right here.
Okay, well, so my name is Celine Remy, and if you're wondering about the accent, I'm going to give you the answer right away. I'm from Switzerland, and I speak French. That's my native language. But I've been in the States for 10 years, and I've been on a path studying about human sexuality and bodies and self-improvement. And so I have been doing my own business for the past few years and helping my clients. I'm helping and guiding them to unlock their owner's manual for their body so that they can have better sex and deeper relationships.
Nice. I'm sitting across the table from Celine, and she has this incredible glowing smile, which says a lot about her soul, I think. Yeah. So how did you get started doing this? I mean, what was when did you start doing this? And exactly, we'll talk at some point about what it is you do for your clients.
Okay. Yeah. I think that growing up in Switzerland, we have a little bit of a different view of how we talk about our bodies, sexuality. It's way more common, and we have sex education. I grew up in a family where it's okay to be naked, and we talk about sexuality openly. So it kind of set the ground for ease about my body and sexuality. And then I always had that ease and that desire to learn more, understand how do I work, how do things work, okay, this is how we made, but how can I take this instrument, this body, and play it like a Stradivarius, I really want to take it to the next level. And I happened to just read and discover a wonderful new age store, and that kind of started my path. And I discovered sacred sexuality, and more specifically Taoism.
And where was that? Because you've traveled quite a bit.
I have traveled, yeah. So that all happened while I was in Switzerland. I got introduced to the concept of Taoism and how to use your sexual energy, how to recycle it. So I got really, really interested about that. And luckily there was a teacher, a certified teacher, who was offering a workshop. So my mom and I signed up for it. So I dragged my mom there, and it was really good. And as I was in this workshop, I learned how to use a JDAG, how to recycle my sexual energy, how to connect with the elements. I mean, it's very complex. It's very in depth. So we touch a glimpse of it. And after that, I remember telling my mom, this is what I want to do. And I was very young. I think I was just barely 20. And so as soon as I was done with my training in Switzerland, saved money, I left Switzerland when I was 22, and I went to Tao Garden, which is the center where Montauk Chia is offering his courses. And that kind of is what started me. So I went to Thailand, started to learn about sexuality, inner alchemy, and from there on, I traveled some more and have never stopped learning.
So, and you ended up here in the San Diego area.
I did.
So what brought you here? Besides the weather.
I always say love brought me to the U.S. and San Diego wasn't my first stop. I spent 5 years on the islands of Hawaii, and I moved there for love. I had met a man while I was there traveling, and he invited me to take a break from India because I was really, really done with the monsoon and I just needed some warm weather. And he said, why don't you come to my place, teach yoga, and just spend some time in Hawaii for 3 months. So I came in the U.S. with $200 in my pocket and with just the intention of staying here for 3 months. And it has been 10 years now.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how a lot of people, that's how a lot of things change for people. They just sort of show up, right?
Yeah.
You just showed up. You had an invitation and you just showed up.
I did.
And then it sort of evolved from there.
I did, yeah.
So how did you deepen your relationship with yourself in this practice? Because is it a practice, would you say?
It's a set of practices that you learn and you can do on your own, yes. So I definitely practice them regularly. So I had my own self-practice. So that alone gave me the tools to understand that it wasn't just a concept out there or something I read in a book. I was starting to understand it from within myself. And I continued studying. So Taoism was the very first place I started. But then as I came into the US, I discovered something called sexological bodywork.
Sexological bodywork?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And
never heard of it.
It's actually a legal profession here in California, just in California, in that state. But it's all about working with people's sexuality and on their bodies using somatic, so it means on the body, to release trauma. So you do pelvic release, pelvic trauma release. You do you help people to move their sexual energy in their body. So really just
So is this geared for people that have had some traumatic incident in their life or not? No?
It can. I tend to focus with people who have already a good sex life and want to take it to the next level. So I think everybody has their specialties. And I love to, if you have a trauma, yes, we can work on this. But I focus more into taking it to that next level.
Right. So typically, who would be a client of yours? I mean, and then, of course, you work with men and women?
I do, and couples.
And couples
So it
together.
depends. So if you're a couple, I definitely offer for people who are in love, want to take it to the next level. But it could be either you haven't had sex in many years and you want to get back in touch and do it properly. Or you're a young couple and you're like, I know there's so much more, and I want to see what else can we do. How can we have better sex?
So people that may be stuck.
If you're stuck, yeah. With women, I help them to get in touch with their feminine power because we live in a world where the feminists did a lot of great work for us, but women tend to be very masculine and strong. And it's finding that place where you can be strong and yet soft. And the practices that I'm talking about when it's a breast massage or using a jade egg are all about...
What's a jade egg?
A jade egg is an actual jade egg that's made of jade. It's an egg shape that you insert inside your vagina to do some practices.
Really?
Yes. And that really unleashes your feminine essence. And on top of that, it helps you to tonify your pelvic floor, to get in touch with your sex and get to have better orgasms, feeling more toned, more vibrant, and be really turned on from the inside out.
Yeah, it's interesting. You were talking about strong women. Getting in touch with their feminine side.
Yeah.
So one of the models that I started working on early on was just seeking, strength in gentility as a man. So still feeling my strength, but having a gentle approach to it. So would it be the same? I mean, it's a balancing act, right?
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Yes, it would be the same of like that. I call it that feminine power, but yet where it comes from that place of that grace, that ease, where you're not making things happen from a to-do place, but more from being.
From being.
Yeah.
How you want to be.
Yeah.
Could you give me an example of a typical case, and actually maybe one that was challenging for you?
Let me think for a
Or
second.
maybe they're not challenging.
I think the biggest transformation that I see, so I was teaching a workshop in Switzerland a few months ago, and we were 22 women in the room, and it's really the example is how much the transformation that happens from trusting yourself, trusting your own body, feeling good about yourself, feeling good about your body, having a radiant confidence, and being in touch with yourself, that it's okay you're a sexual being, it's okay that you have pleasure, and you start to get that understanding, because in a workshop setting, we talk about our orgasms, we talk about how it feels in our body. I lead women. I love to compare it to like a driver's ad where I tell, like you have somebody sitting next to you and I'm telling you, turn left, go there. So we do the same with our bodies. So witnessing the shift that happens where, wow, I've never touched my breast when I lead them in a breast massage. I didn't know I could feel so good and open up my heart and be in touch with myself. So all of these transformation that I'm witnessing, it's like a woman going from black and white to full colors.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So do you work also with Kundalini models, or not so much?
I blend different techniques. So I have studied Taoism. I've studied some tantric techniques. I have studied Kadoshka, which is Native American sacred sexuality. I have a background in nonviolent communication or compassionate communication. And then I have a holistic approach of life where I've studied herbs as well. So just like what we eat, what we put in our body. So I kind of blend all of this. I'm also a yoga teacher. So yes, I will incorporate principles of Kundalini or energy, but I try not to be so much into one model. I'm kind of taking all the best part of each one of these and creating my own system.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what else in terms of your own life, in terms of let's say challenging moments or defining moments that have you had in your life that may have taken you down a interesting, deeper road yourself of transformation?
Okay, so one defining moment. The first one, well, I'm going to give you two actually. The very first, that's the one that started me, was when my mother got cancer when I was 16. And that's how I got introduced to the New Age store and other modalities of healing. And because she cured herself. So I saw that it was possible by changing your habits, the way you eat, the way you do things, that you can heal yourself. So that gave me that understanding and reality. And that's what set me on that path for seeking more.
It sounds like your mother was really with it. She was. Yeah, she was aware, self-aware, and curious herself enough to get herself out of this trouble.
Yeah. So that was the defining moment that I could do anything because I witnessed her do that. And then the next place was when I moved here for love. And then I had a really good relationship, but I wanted more. And so I left my husband at that time. And that's when I met the man I'm with now. And it's been 5 years that we've been together. And we've been redefining relationships together. We've been redefining what it means to be open, to how far can you go with the sexuality? How much can you expand? And that would be the next defining moment that I am on this path of exploring. And I want everyone to get a chance to experience this level of intimacy that I have, this level of connection, because I know it's possible. So that would be the second.
Because you're experiencing it yourself.
Because I am, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. And so what he's been teaching me is that we grow faster from pleasure than we do from pain.
Exactly.
And that's really what I do when I work with my client. I focus on pleasure. And pleasure is not solely in the body, but pleasure on all levels, in the heart, in the head, and how does it feel, and just expanding
just so you know, I'm starting to see this emerge from several people. From therapists to, other people that are just basically saying that there's a couple, Jake and Hannah Eagle from a organization they have called Reology, where they've been doing this relationship kind of work for years. And, basically they say, love can be easy. I mean, it can be easy. We make things way too difficult, partially by what we do with our mind. I'm pointing to my head, people. It's like, how are you questioning your thoughts in terms of the thoughts that drive you? Yeah. And what's the program that's running that's keeping you from being more intimate with yourself and with your spouse and with other people?
Yeah.
So you break through that through exercise, through demonstration, through actually doing it, right?
Yeah, and I love that you're mentioning the mind, John, because this is really part of the core teaching, because I think we have 3 minds.
Mm-hmm. 3?
Yes. We have our head, our heart, and our sex. Mm-hmm. In our society, we're focusing so much in the head part,
yes,
and we get stuck. The other place that I witness, and especially when I work with my male clients, is, the nice guy. When you're in your heart, you're this loving, kind guy. Mm-hmm. And then there's the part where you're just in your sex, and it's kind of more of that. Can I swear on this podcast?
Oh, sure.
You're becoming more of an asshole because you're just thinking with your dick.
Yes.
And so what I'm doing is that I'm teaching people how you can activate those 3 minds, those 3 center, but then how you can align them so that you make decision from these 3 places in your body that are totally activated and saying yes, being congruent. And that way it totally unleashes your full power.
Yeah. Okay, great. So you're taking, in a sense, the best part of those 3 things?
Yeah.
Because part of what I'm experiencing, you talking about it, is part of what you're saying is that men have a tendency to experience sex in their mind one way. Like you said, thinking with the wrong head, right? Right? So let's talk about men a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah, which is, so with most men, do they come to you because they want to make this change? And do they mostly come to you alone, or do they come with their partner? Or, I mean, how do men come to you with this in terms of wanting to make a shift and a change?
Okay. So I specialize in helping men eliminate early ejaculation naturally. So usually that's kind of the entry point, that they want to learn how to have better stamina, how to last longer. Ultimately, it's because they want to be better lovers.
Yes.
That's every man's.
Yes.
They always want to satisfy their partner better. If they can do that, they're fulfilled. So they come to see me because they might not be fully satisfied with how their body is working, and especially as things change, because maybe at 16 you're doing things a certain way, 20, but then by the time you're 40 and you've been in a relationship for several years, the excitement is not the same anymore, and your body might not be responding. So whether your erections are not as strong, or you're ejaculating sooner than what you want, so they come to me because they seek answer. They want to find a place where they can talk about sex, because it shouldn't be so taboo. It shouldn't be so hard to find, I just want to have answers. I want to have a candid conversation about sexuality, about how my body works. I want to be told that there's nothing wrong with me, because we've made everything becomes a pathology, like we're saying there's a disorder. And so I'm here to tell them, no, this is not a disease. Like, for example, with early ejaculation, it's not who you are. It's something that you experience. So we're taking it and separating it from their own identification, that it's all of who they are, to understanding that maybe by correcting what they do, changing how they think about themselves, and aligning what they truly want in their hearts. When you look at early ejaculation, they might be in a relationship where the woman is not enjoying sex and she kind of wants it over with. And so, she's kind of pulling him, and then he's also ejaculating sooner. He doesn't have the control because, there's kind of these two energies that are
right. And they're not enjoying each other.
They're not enjoying each other. So of course, like for example, the penis is kind of, it has a mind of its own. So it's kind of like telling you, hey, look at this situation, because my theory is I'm convinced that not all centers are aligned at this moment. Your sex right now is not working the way you want it to be because your head and your heart are not aligned. So whether it's a communication issue with your partner or you're not fulfilled with the relationship, it's just telling you, hey, look at something that's happening.
So you might work with somebody to beyond, you might work with somebody even on diet and exercise. I mean,
I'm not qualified in the sense, I'm not a doctor, I don't have a training, but I look at basics because what's common sense is not always common practices.
Nicely said.
So I just start at the beginning, like, what you eat affects how you feel, and we can just look at certain little changes, whether it's, if you're always using alcohol to help you get in the mood, and then you're not performing the way you want. Well, alcohol and erections are not best friends, so...
They don't go together all that well, do they?
No, they don't.
It's been my experience, folks.
So see, there you go. So we look at simple shifts. So what are the little changes you can do to just help?
Environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, where are you when you, where are you? I mean, there's something always really nice about getting away from like your home, like, down, just even a few miles away.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So just little simple shifts.
Simple shifts, exactly.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you suspected maybe that somebody was having some health issues, you might make her. You have a lot of resources.
I have resources at work. I have a doctor I work with who's in La Jolla, so I would refer him to
that person.
That person, so that because. Obviously, if it's a hormonal issue, there's nothing I can do. There's things you can do on your own to help to boost your hormone levels. But if you've gone too low on your hormones imbalance, you might need some help. And medicine is working really well with some bioidentical hormones that can help you, bring you back to a level that feels good when you're in balance.
Yes.
And so we're working on all fronts. So if you're working with that, with a person, with that doctor, you're getting your hormone balance, you're going to start feeling better.
Yes.
You're feeling better. You want to do the exercises I'm telling you to do. You're being more motivated. And it's more about having that accountability. So it's like, okay, you see me, whether we do it a phone conversation or an in-person session, it's like, okay, we look at what's happening, what are the changes, where we can troubleshoot, and then we get you focused, and I'm like, yeah, this is where you're heading. Yeah. I'm going to keep you focused. You're not going to get distracted because in this day and age, we're always distracted.
Oh, I know. There's lots of distractions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have several programs, is that right?
I do.
Yeah. So briefly, what are those? What do those look like for people?
Right now, I just releasing this course. This is an e-course, so it's a self-study program for men that's called Power and Mastery. It's the complete stamina training to eliminate early ejaculation.
Nice.
It's very nice.
You're going to sell that one out.
Well, that was the goal. From working for over 3 years with individuals, I thought, well, how can I reach more people? Because about 70% of men will at one point experience difficulty with their ejaculation. So the whole point was, how can I give information that really will make an impact and yet they can do this in the comfort of their own home. And what I love is that it's a program that's designed for men, but it's designed by a woman, and it also incorporates how can you enroll your partner. And that's a little bit different from other programs out there because I really believe that working together is the key to the success.
Working with your partner.
Working with your partner, yes. And that works whether you're in a relationship or you're dating. And I'm giving you tips and scripts on how you can do it. If you're experiencing this problem right now and you're like, okay, how can I still have a good sex life and make it good for both of us? So we look at all the different scenarios.
Nice.
So that's one way. With women, I offer workshops and privates where we work on those techniques that I mentioned, like super juicy, like the jade egg, the breast massage, and also just pelvic release.
Yes.
Really, where it's going beyond just an orgasm, but our vagina holds so much tension and stress.
A lot of energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's, if you release it by doing internal massage, you release all that trauma and you can access more energy, which means usually more orgasms, more a sense of well-being, a sense of confidence.
Yeah, I'm sort of getting the sense, just looking across the table again at you and all the rest of it, is that this sort of work ends up getting generalized in your life in terms of just, how you are in the world.
Yes.
I mean, just more energy. Yes. And it's like, I've always thought that sex is much more than 4 feet in bed. So it's like meeting somebody, there's a sexual connection that's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, without having 4 feet in bed. So it's just to be able to be aware of the boundaries and be aware of, just be aware of it and let it flow. And you can experience somebody much more deeper.
Yeah.
And more importantly, I think probably share yourself more deeply.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can see the value in this work from that level.
Yeah. We are sexual beings, and it affects all areas of our life. We what's that word? Compartmentalized?
Very
That's
good.
It.
Nice.
We just put it in one way, sex is over there. But, if you go to church, you don't leave your sex at the door and then go to church. You take it all in there.
Yeah.
So I'm really choosing that religious aspects for people to really understand, because that's one of the area where it's been shamed. So it does really affect all areas. And also what I'm seeing that's amazing in our work together, we don't have to change so much, but just having some release in the body by pressing on certain specific key points on the body, you release this energy that's trapped, which means you're starting to feel more joy, more well-being.
Nice.
But we're shifting 1 degree. But when you shift that 1 degree, it means that the other 359 degree is going to look different. So everything else in your life is going to have a slightly different color.
Nice. See, that's what I was thinking. Exactly. Yeah. I actually want to mention at this point, we're changing the format, actually adding to the format here on our Alternative Health Tools podcast. We're going to start blabbing probably like 2 weeks after each audio podcast is released, mainly to give you a chance to sort of listen to the show. And if you wanted to interact on a live blab with our guests, you can do so. But it's important that you go to alternativehealthtools.com and go to the contact page and let us know that you'd like to interact, blab, ask questions and stuff with Celine. So take the opportunity now or later to go to alternativehealthtools.com and just leave us a note and let us know you'd like to do that.
And I would love that, because 2 weeks will be about the end of the year. The Christmas,
Yes.
but that'd be awesome to speak love with people.
Yes.
With all of you listening, and so
Yep.
you could start the new year
I
with
know.
a new you.
I know. This podcast, I think, will be released around the new year.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so that'll give a lot of people a chance to listen because they've got some downtime. And then maybe we can just schedule a blab shortly after that.
That'd be wonderful, just
Yeah.
for new, powerful 2016.
Yeah, so that in mind, for those people that are just not going to blab, what do you think are the 3 questions people most often ask you? or just one, but if you had 3, that would be tasty.
The first one is definitely for men, usually is, how can I last longer?
Okay.
And again, it's in mind, so that I can satisfy her better.
Nice. Sweet.
And again, I don't have one answer that fits all. If it was that easy, I would totally give it to you. And
of course.
That's why, I always have to talk to a person to understand what are the habits, what do you do. But there are some things that you can change right away. And well, if you wanted to have some answers with that, if you go to powerandmastery.com, I have a free report for you.
Powerandmastery.com.
Yes.
Oh, there's a free report. Great.
It's a free report with the 7 mistakes that you might be doing that are destroying your stamina. So you could find out what you could do right away to make some changes.
Well, as soon as I get off the podcast, I'll go sign up right now.
I'm glad to hear that. I'll make sure you can have it. Yes,
it's great.
Yeah. So that's one way. The other, with women, mostly, it really depends, but usually women are very intrigued about how can I have deeper orgasms, like multi-orgasms. I've heard about female ejaculation and G-spot. So it's kind of like demystifying. And for us women, it's all inside. We don't see anything. Until not many years ago, even textbook that taught anatomy did not have a complete chart of the female anatomy. So we have very little understanding about our bodies, what is where and how does it all work together. So usually for women, they kind of like, well, tell me, like, it's like, where do I find that information? How do I unlock all these buttons within my body, So they really get curious about those different areas to get to a next level with their sexual energy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So the last third question, it would be the same question, but what number one question do couples ask?
Couples usually would be, how can we keep that desire alive?
Oh.
Yeah, because, there's a routine. And it's finding that balance, because it's amazing to have a relationship with somebody where you build the trust, the comfort, the ease. Yeah. But that does not go well with excitement and passion. And so you get stuck into routines and doing the same thing over and over. It could be the same sex position, the same way you make love every time. It's going to start that way. I'm petting you here, I'm touching you there, you're going to moan, and this is how we do it. And it's not exciting. Yeah. It's not anymore. So it's about, how can I have different sex positions, like just keeping that desire alive. So I think that independently, even though whether they're male, female couples, we all have a different strategy that we want to. But the same goal is the same for everyone, is how can I love better? How can I feel better in my body and be more happy? So whether you want it through a sex position, a technique to touch your partner, or how to touch yourself, that's kind of the end result that you're seeking.
Yeah, and ultimately you end up with self-awareness.
You do.
Or more self-awareness.
All these practices, you don't need to have a partner. You don't need to have intercourse. You can learn how you can use your sex. That's actually the whole point, is how you can use your sexual energy. Because let's say you feel horny, so I'm horny, I'm going to have intercourse. But that's not the only way. You could be horny and excited, and you could go bake an amazing meal, or you could clean your house, or you could do that project that you've been postponing.
So channeling the sexual energy.
Yes.
Into a creative projects.
Yes.
So you can teach people how to do that?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
That's good.
And I love what you mentioned about the self-awareness. And it's another key that I find it so important. Before you can connect with somebody, you have to be able to connect with yourself. And so I think this is the key. The more you understand yourself, the more you know yourself, the more you can show up then with somebody else. And it all starts with you. Yeah.
One thing that I found as a man to be helpful, to try to demystify the terminology relationship. Because relationship, in one respect, is an anomaly. It doesn't really exist. There's you, there's me, and now we're in a relationship, which is this third party. So I had a really close friend of mine help me with that, who basically said, it's very simple. You simply defined how you relate. That is a relationship. So I was able to use that. So I as you're talking, I'm hearing myself sort of go, oh yeah, I have relationships with some women, and it's just like, okay, great. How do we define these relationships? Well, it's simply how I relate with them. And sometimes it's, sexual, sometimes it's not. But I am always, quite frankly, looking for a deeper experience, but it doesn't have to be sexual.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be 4 feet in bed.
No, but it's called intimacy. So
Yes.
Into me see.
Into me see. Into me see. I think we just named this show. Into me see.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
Yeah. And relationship is, it's the beauty of show me how this relationship is. Like, you don't have to define it that it has to be a certain way. It's when you meet somebody, well, what do we have to learn one another? And what I'm loving is being able to use your sexual energy freely. So as we're like talking right now, John, and I'm looking at you and I'm recycling my sexual energy. I'm feeling turned on and I'm looking into your eyes and I'm just sharing that energy with you. In a way, it's called lovemaking too. And you feel that energy too, I'm sure.
Yes. I do.
See, so it's just how can you use that energy? We don't have to confine it just to our partner. You can choose to be sexually monogamous with one partner, but it doesn't mean you have to shut down all this sexual energy. You can have way of using it, and you can create how you want to relate, how the relationship works, and make it work for you. So instead of having society define what your relationships needs to look like, is how do I want to relate? How do I want to create something that's juicy, yummy, and empowering for me?
Nice. Do you have some sort of tip or advice you'd like to give people that you think people need to hear? Just one thing.
Give yourself permission to just feel pleasure. That it's okay to be in your own pleasure. Yeah. And whether it's the joy and the pleasure of reading a great book or connecting with somebody, but just allowing it. Stop suppressing, like when you feel that wave of energy, that surge of creating energy, because I think that's where we come from. And so just keep connecting to it and stay connected to it.
Nice. So even if that's going for a walk.
Yeah.
And it's like if you have that thought of the pleasure you might receive by going for a walk in the woods and nature on the beach, just do it.
Yeah. And in fact, I had my very first female ejaculation walking.
Oh, well, I thought the show was going to end, but I don't think so. I want to hear about this.
You do?
Sure.
Yeah. I was walking down the street and I was feeling so connected, so present from just walking. And I remember looking up and just, I don't know, it was that oneness that I experienced at that moment. And I felt that deep connection and that whole energy going through me. And then I had that gush through my legs. And at that time, I did not know what it was. I felt pretty embarrassed. And I was catching a train, so I went on the train, I went to the bathroom, and I smelled it, and I was like, this is not pee. What is it? And many years later, I learned about female ejaculation. I taught myself how to do it, and really understood it, and I connected the dot and understood. But it came from that place of being totally present in the moment.
What led up to that time for you? Like, you were just working on just being present? Or that time in your life, in your study, in your life? What was
I don't
going
know.
on
I was just being so joyful. I was just being happy, being present, and walking down the street, feeling connected and one with everything. No other thought than just being. And I don't know. I just somehow stepped into that place.
And you're sure it wasn't a mud puddle?
It was not a mud puddle. I am sure.
That's good.
Yeah.
You know what we should do is we should wrap this up. And I'm going to challenge people out there to go to alternativehealthtools.com and just, shoot us an email and say, yeah, you want to be on the Blab. And I'll give everybody instructions, directions, how to do that and interact with Celine, because I think, boy, this could go on forever. I think we'll save it for then.
That sounds good.
Sounds good?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you, John.
Thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
Yeah, what a delight.
Yeah.
It's the French connection. It is. All right, so this is John Beethan, alternativehealthtools.com podcast, and we will see you next time.